I'd like to welcome you to preparing for the ACT test. We're going to be doing the English section today. To prepare and get 4 or 5 points increase, you should be planning on doing 10 practice tests and get them as close to the real thing as you can. The ACT provides real tests for you to try, such as the one we're doing now. Furthermore, you should do 40 hours of homework on top of that using expert explanations. And this will be part of your expert explanations right now. Let's go and do this test. I'd like you to follow along with me. You can search it up yourself on Google, the 2017-2018 Preparing for the ACT test. Look, it's free. That's good. Okay, let's go down to the English section. Okay, the triangular snowflake. Now, if you're just trying to get up to around 25 for the English section, the top mark is 36 and the median is about 21. If you're trying to get around 25, you don't actually need to read the entire passage. You can actually concentrate mostly on the underlined portions. But if you're trying to get in the 30s, you do need to read the entire passage. So we're going to assume for now that you're trying to get into the 30s. The main thing to say is that when you're someone who's in getting less than 20 or less than 25, you might be stuck not having enough time to finish the entire section. And then you end up guessing. So if that's the case, then sticking to the questions that can be done with only the underlined parts and without reading and understanding the entire passage will save you a lot of time. And the questions that do deal with understanding how the passage is flowing and the logical order and things like, and what the whole passage means, those things take a longer time to figure out. Those are the harder questions as well. Your goal is to get as many of the easy and medium questions right. And the hard questions, hopefully you'll get them right if you have enough time, otherwise you'll be guessing. For people trying to get the highest mark, I myself took the ACT and got 36 twice. You need to read everything. And quite frankly, this is a test that can be conquered and mastered, and you will do it. Snowflakes. We're going to read the passage now. Snowflakes form tiny water droplets. Now let's look at the answers. They all say form from tiny water droplets, but the question is about commas. General rule about commas. Often the answer is no commas. So that's one of the things to head towards, is that they don't want any commas, or that they want what I call the comma chameleon. It comes and it goes. You put 2 commas. That's why I call it comma. Comma is when you have extra information which is not necessary for the meaning of the sentence. So for example, if I told you Washington, D.C. is the capital of the United States. That's correct. At least I hope it is. Now, if I wanted to tell you that something a little extra about it, I could say Washington, D.C., which is not a state, is the capital of the United States. The which is not a state, that part is extra information that you might not need. So I might say something like, Washington, D.C., located on the East Coast, is the capital of the United States. The located on the East Coast was extra. So let's see what's happening here. Is this snowflakes? Well, we have to read the whole sentence to see if it's extra info. Snowflakes form from tiny water droplets following a specific process of chemical bonding as they freeze, which results in a 6-sided figure. What is the subject of the sentence? It's snowflakes. What are they doing? They're forming. They are forming following a specific process, and they're formed from tiny water droplets. This is one of those cases where they don't want commas. That's the main thing. They don't want commas. Now, I actually partially disagree with the ACT and the College Board SAT on the use of commas when you have many adjectives, but I'm going to give in. I'm not even going to explain what I have studied to be the correct way, which is that sometimes adjectives do need commas when they're sort of equal adjectives, and sometimes they don't. ACT would say when you have many adjectives, don't use commas. So if you had a big red apple, there's no commas needed. The apple's big, the apple's red, no commas. Other people would disagree with that. Okay, so these droplets, are they water droplets? Yes. Are the droplets tiny? Yes. No commas between those. So for that reason, B and C, those commas are bad. Now, what's the difference between A and D? It's whether you put a comma after form. Remember, the general rule is no commas. That's the general rule. You're gonna get 25 just leaving out commas. So when you have to guess, leave out the commas. They form from something. You don't need to have a comma before the prepositional phrase. That's a general rule as well. So you're going to have to learn a few basic things for the English section. You need to find the subject and the verb, Snowflakes form, and you have to see prepositional phrases. These prepositional phrases are going to help you so much, so I will point them out. Prepositions are words that tell you about the position. They are from somewhere. You know, are you from Chicago? That's your position. Are you in Chicago, over Chicago, under Chicago? Position can also be in time. Was it before you were born, after you were born? Those are times. So the entire prepositional phrase is formed from tiny water droplets.